Welcome to Talking Live. We have a special guest, and I have been a huge fan since Cagney and Lacey. We have Sharon Gless. She just came out with a new memoir, and it is incredible. We're going to go into some of the details and fantastic stories that she has written about. Sharon, thank you so much for coming. Before we start, I just want to say that you are a multi-Emmy and global award-winning actress, and many of you know her from Cagney and Lacey and Queer as Folk, as well as many other shows and movies. And thank you for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. I'm nervous. You're amazing.
Oh my God, I'm nervous because you don't understand how often I watched you as a child. And because I'm blonde, you're blonde,
Yes.
I thought maybe I could be a police officer.
That was a dramatization. You can get hurt.
That's true.
I have a lot of women say I joined the force because of you. And
yes,
you want to say, honey, that's dangerous work.
But yes. I mean, I live in New York City, so I see the city streets, and I'm glad I enjoyed you on the show, but chose a safer profession. Being a therapist is a safer profession in most cases.
Well, depending on who your client is.
That's true. That's really true. This book almost did not get written. So can you tell me a little bit about what got you to write this memoir?
Well, I wasn't so busy. I've never written. I never kept even a diary as a child. So, and it's interesting because I'm very honest in my book, and I never kept a diary because I didn't want anybody reading, my secrets. But I went to a meeting at CBS, and the president at that time was Nina Tassler. And I went in to talk about a new series. When I walked into her office, she said, "Welcome home, Sharon." And it was so wonderful because Cagney and Lacey was shot there many years before. So I was there for an hour, and I tried to keep them as entertained as I could. And at the end of the meeting, Nina says, "We own Simon & Schuster." I said, "No, I didn't know that." She said, "Well, you have a book in you." I said, "Nina, I'm not a writer." And she said, "No, but you're a storyteller." I was trying so hard, to tap dance and give all my, what I thought were interesting stories. And so I never did get the series, but I did get a call the next day from the president of Simon & Schuster. So I waited a year. I just thought it's not a skill that I have ever exercised, certainly. And after about a year, and I wasn't so busy, when I was in New York, I made an appointment to go see him, and I wrote a chapter before I went in. And my manager was with me, and he made me read it in the office to the president of Simon & Schuster. All right. And his secretary's door was open at the time, and I read a chapter about going through a divorce with my husband. And she was laughing. I could hear it down in the hallway. And he said, "Now, we are interested in this story, and we want you to do the audio also." I said, because as actors know how to land on a word. And that's how it happened. It took me 7 years.
Wow.
That's 7 years. I didn't enjoy being a writer. I do now enjoy being an author.
I get that. Well, it's really hard for me to believe that you were not a writer, because you write in the most entertaining and intimate way that it's hard to put down. And I really felt we all have these friends where you walk away just feeling understood. And I felt like I was sitting down with a funny, honest friend where you just walk away and say, you know what, life is messy and that's okay.
Yes, I actually thought of starting it out, even though I was experimenting myself at first. And I thought of starting out by inviting friends over, because Nina says I'm a storyteller. So I thought, well, I'll just set a recorder and I'll just tell my friends to ask me questions. But it became much more personal than that. Every story that happened was absolutely true. And those are the things you don't forget. sure you, as a doctor, understand that. I didn't have to do any research. I'll tell you that. It's all in my brain.
And you have a good memory.
I do.
Because sometimes I
Very
think back
good
on my
memory.
life, I'm like, what happened to me?
Well, these
Like-
particular things, once I knew the title, it's an expression I used to use. When I got out of Hazleton, which is alcohol and drug rehab place, the Harvard of the rehabs, I call it. There was a lot of scandal around it. And a friend said, "You're in Hazleton?" I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Why were you in Hazleton?" And just out of my mouth came, apparently there were complaints. I thought it was funny, and my husband burst out laughing. And it's just a phrase I've just always joked about. And so when I got the offer to write the book, I came up with the title first, and then the title informed, obviously.
You go into an interesting story about one particular party where you screamed out something.
Oh,
and
yes.
That
Yes.
that is responsible, or that helped you get your title as well.
Well, yes. In fact, somebody who's listening to me give this interview is the person I yelled that at. And we're still friends.
Well, that's
you
true
have to surround
friendship.
yourself with people you love, or people who
That's
love
true.
you.
Your story was interesting from the beginning when you tell the story or share the story about how you got your name. Sharon.
Oh, yes. I thought you meant Bubbles. I thought you were referring to that chapter.
Well, you can explain that too.
Oh, that's all right. I'll answer what you had asked. My mother was in a little play in Los Angeles for raising money for children. And after the play, she and her cohorts went to this tea room. There was a lady who read tea leaves. And she said to my mother, looking at my mother's tea leaves, she said, "You're creating something very special. What's going on with you?" My mother said, "Well, actually, I'm pregnant." The woman said, "This is going to be a very special child." She said, "May I name the child?" And it's so unlike my mother. My mother would never, ever do anything like that. And she said, my mother said, the woman said, "Just let me give you my phone number. And after the child is born," it was before being able to know what sex and all. "And after the child is born, would you call me?" So my mother did, which is very courageous of her. And the woman, I think, wrote like 6 names down on a piece of paper. I found the piece of paper in my baby book, in my mother's writing, on the back of an envelope. So it always on the back of an envelope. And one of the names was Sharon, and she had served. So I was actually named by a tea leaf reader.
What a great start. And do you like your name? Did she do okay?
No, I never liked the name Sharon. I thought it was sort of too girly for me. But I loved my middle name, Marguerite. And then I just got used to it. My mother, whenever she was angry at me, would call me Sharon Marguerite. So I just don't like it. I don't like it when people call me Sherry. I'd rather drink it than be called that. Actually,
I get that.
I was just being funny. So it's held me in good stead. When I went to Universal Studios, they signed me to a contract when I was young, much younger. And I told them I wanted to change my name. And the head of talent said, "And what name did you have in mind?" I said, "Well, I have one grandmother named Nellie Duggan." So I think that's a great stage name. She said, "And the other?" I said, "Well, my other grandmother is Maggie McCarthy." I was sure she'd leave one of them. She said, "I think Sharon Gless will do just fine." So,
and there you have it.
yeah.
The rest is written on Hollywood, on a Hollywood star.
It is.
Yes.
I do. I have a star on Hollywood Boulevard. Tyne
What
Daly
is
and
that
I.
like? What is that like, Sharon, to have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame? I can't even imagine.
I look back on it now, or ever since that day, I'm very, very proud of it. I visit it sometimes.
Yeah.
If it's clean. I have, there are wonderful fans who come and polish it and stuff. But at the time, the ordeal, the ceremony and stuff I was nervous.
Mhm.
Even though I play ballsy women, I'm actually sort of shy.
You describe your mother as shy in this book as well.
My mother was very shy. She didn't have an act like I do.
You actually came from Hollywood royalty. I don't know if many people know that, but your grandfather was a pretty big deal.
He was. There's nobody alive probably who would know who he is now. But yes, his name is Neil S. McCarthy. He was Howard Hughes' attorney, Cecil B. DeMille's, Louis B. Mayer's, Cary Grant's, Katharine Hepburn. And are you in Los Angeles?
I'm actually in New York City.
Oh.
But I would say when I was reading about your grandfather, one of my friends, in the modern day world in Hollywood, Kevin Yorn actually is the equivalent to what your grandfather was back in the day.
Wow.
Or maybe that's, there's a similarity there.
Yes. Well, the reason I was asking that at the Polo Lounge, the Beverly Hills Hotel,
oh, yes,
is a very
yes.
famous salad, the McCarthy chopped salad that everybody orders when they go there. So the last time I was there actually with Tyne Daly. The chef asked to came out to meet me. He said, I just had to meet Neil McCarthy's granddaughter.
Oh.
He said, I make this salad 100 times a day. Said, well, thank you, chef.
Such
He didn't approve of my going into this business. He said it was a filthy business.
He probably knew too much.
He did.
You really do have to be tough. And I'm so happy that I wanted to go into therapy, because anything I do, I put all of my everything into. And if I wanted to be an actress, I wouldn't have been good, number one, because I have no talent, can't sing, can't dance, can't act. Okay. But I would have put all into it.
You have to act in a therapy room sometimes.
But it's harsh. It's a harsh business.
Yes, it can be. And I have had unpleasant times in the industry, but mainly I've been very, very blessed. Just the right people looked after me and took me under their wing and trained me and put me on screen and put a big picture of me in the commissary at Universal Studios.
What a gorgeous photo. Gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful.
It was a different era then.
Yeah.
And when you have a studio looking out for you.
Yes.
There was no publicity department. They do have one, but there was no publicity department to cancel any gossip about me. In the olden days, they had a publicity department that just buried everything.
As a sensitive person, how did you manage some of the negativity that is part of being high profile? Because that's challenging.
Well, I just kept going. It's in my book that I suffered from alcohol, but I don't know if that's why I drank. I used to smoke, I used to drink, and all of those things really do alter your feelings. They camouflage, your feelings. Yes. So I guess if I was really unhappy, I'd just pour stiff scotch or bite of a Marlboro. And I seemed to survive, but there was a woman who started me in the business at Universal, who took me under her wing.
I think I wrote her down because you say that she was somebody who was really responsible for giving you your start. Is it Monique James?
Monique James, and she was the first female vice president of MCA.
Wow.
And she was head of talent on the West Coast for MCA. And someone saw me in a little play, only ran 2 nights, wasn't very good. We didn't even charge anybody. But somebody was in the audience one of those nights and saw me and called me and said, I'd like you to meet Monique James. And I was in the industry as a secretary. And I said, okay, cut the bullshit. Who is this? I thought it was one of my friends. And he said, the man who called me was in the audience, said, I understand you're being skeptical. Why don't I have Miss James call you? I said, do that. So I thought it was fake.
And the rest is history. Even further back, you describe both your grandmothers as having
Mhm.
very distinct personalities, and one in particular gave you the space to truly be you.
Yes. Nellie Duggan. That was the one I first said I
Yes.
wanted to be named after. The other one was Maggie McCarthy. I thought they were cool names.
Well, I enjoyed reading the stories about how your grandmother would allow you to put on plays and imagine
Uh,
an adoring audience. And that was such a powerful image.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I named the chapter after what she used to introduce me. It was just the two of us in her little apartment. She used to introduce me. I'd be so nervous. And she'd quiet everyone in the room. There was nobody there, but she'd quiet everyone in the room, and I believed it.
Yeah.
She said, Miss Gless is about to perform.
Oh, I love it.
My little heart was just going like crazy. But ta-da, I'd go out and do my thing. I wonder if she sees me now.
I'm sure she does, and I'm sure she is in the audience clapping away. There is romance in your story because your husband was your boss,
That's right.
right? And there have been ups and downs in your relationship, and you're very honest about at one point you were on the brink of divorce,
Oh, yes.
and this one very interesting marriage counselor was recommended to you.
Isn't that an amazing piece of advice? Should I repeat it? I mean,
Yes,
oh,
I couldn't, first of all, I couldn't believe the question that he asked both you and your husband, which was so inappropriate. We're talking about the pool.
I've been in therapy so many times, doctor. Oh, that therapist.
Oh, this
yeah.
one. The
Oh,
pool one.
oh, the pool one. I couldn't believe it. Shall I repeat it?
Yes.
Yeah, we're at the end of the therapy. I mean, he's having us do all these word association games and stuff. And anyway, finally our hour is over. It's the first time we'd been there. Barney said, please, let's just give it one more try. I heard about this guy. I said, sure. So he said, may I ask you both a question? I said, sure. And he said, do you know Robert De Niro?
I mean, really?
I said, I swear to you, I never made eye contact with Barney. I just looked at the therapist. I said, no, doctor, I don't. Looked over at Barney. Barney said, no, doctor, I don't either.
Oh,
We
God.
got in the car. Neither of us commenting on it, not saying anything. I said, don't you ever do that to me again.
That is just so inappropriate. I can't even say. I
He was
can't
just
imagine.
starstruck. You know, he was in the middle of Florida, and I guess hadn't had anybody in the business in his office before.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
But you managed to work through it. And so many people these days just give up on relationships. What do you think it was that helped you to save your relationship? Because you have such a beautiful family.
I do. I married well.
A nice Jewish man.
A nice Jewish man who had beautiful daughters, beautiful granddaughters and a grandson. We fell very much in love on the set, the 5th year of the series. And it was very awkward and unhappy, and was married. Anyway, we went through a lot, and I'd been through years of therapy, as had he. And we finally just realized we didn't want to go apart. We didn't want to separate. We didn't, as difficult as he is, mind I say, he's also a fabulous man.
Yeah.
He's very smart and very loving, sexy. And anyway, it was meant that we stay together, and we have now 30 years.
I was really struck by a powerful quote that you said. There's a reason it's said that denial is a primary roadblock to recovery.
Yes, I didn't think I was alcoholic, and I wasn't fighting anybody. Well, I did fight my agent, who took me to dinner and said, I think you're an alcoholic. And he made the waiter leave 4 empty glasses, my martinis. He must have told him, don't remove them when you bring her the next one. And I didn't see it. And I also had been playing Christine Cagney, who was a major alcoholic. And we had been dealing with Christine's recovery every week on the show, with me going on camera with lights and all, saying, my name is Christine and I'm an alcoholic. But I couldn't say, my name is Sharon and I'm an alcoholic. So when I was in Hazleton, I couldn't join in with everybody on our little unit. We have private meetings, and everybody went around the circle saying their name and if they were alcoholic or drug addict or whatever their poison was. And I said, my name's Sharon, but I can't say that word. So I don't believe it. And I was there 7 weeks. It's a 28-day program. But it's a brilliant place. And they want you to, the word is surrender.
Yeah.
Actually surrender. And finally, after 7 weeks, my counselor realized I needed to go home. My father was dying. And I was missing Barney. And anyway, I asked her, so I was leaving, I said, so did I surrender? And she said, not yet, but you'll be okay. So it's a journey. I know I am alcoholic because I know my personality changes when I drink. Apparently, that's the word apparently is operative in the title, because I don't remember a lot of these complaints about me.
Yeah.
But they've been confirmed by so many people, so many times in so many rooms that I believe it. And I do notice now, obviously, my age, if I drank, I do change. I never had hangovers because it didn't take much. Didn't take much to get me drunk. But I come from the cocktail hour was revered in my house. You know, I come from a different era where everybody drank.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who drank wine. I mean, they drank. And it was just what everybody did. And
it was normalized. It was normalized and glamorized.
Oh, yes. Oh, there's nothing sexier than a beautiful martini.
Yeah.
Very sexy. I still, even though I'm in recovery, I see a beautifully made martini, and even at a distance, I know the difference. I see it go across the, with the waiter going across the room, and I just think, God, that's gorgeous. Because I'm recovered enough where I can look at it and say, you're beautiful.
Yeah.
But you're not for me. Not
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you came out the other side. I really am, because you are such a role model for so many who are struggling. We do something fun called the Quick Five. Would you be willing to play with me?
Sure.
Okay. Which celebrity do you think is the most down to earth?
Well, in person, I don't know any. I get crushes, as time goes on. I see, and she's certainly not a new actress, but I'm totally besotted by Jean Smart.
Oh.
Besotted by her. She's just brilliant. And she's a little younger than I am, but not much. And it gives me such hope to see that a talent like that can still have this wonderful career. Age has nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with it. I wrote a book, Your Best Age Is Now. I'd love to send it to you.
And thank you.
It's all about the energy in the room. And I would see that over and over again with Gloria Steinem, when Joan Rivers was alive. It did, I mean, it was like the energy that came into the room. Everybody veered towards them because they had so much to say. And that's what matters.
I'll tell you another very, very interesting actress is Tyne Daly.
Yes.
With whom I did Cagney and Lacey. She was very generous in accepting me. I was her third Cagney, and she wasn't really happy about having me around. She liked the last one, But we're very, very dear friends. We're closer now than we were.
I love hearing that. What do all of your friends have in common? Are there similarities, similar qualities?
Yes, they're funny.
They're funny.
Mhm. They have a sense of humor. And my own sense of humor has saved me so many times. And I think people with a sense of humor are very bright. I don't mean I'm bright. I mean, I'm the recipient of people with wonderful senses of humor. And
I just want to say you're very funny in this too.
Thank you.
Very funny. So good.
Thank you. Oh, you're so kind.
I say the truth. I
Oh, I
really
bet you
do. I say
do.
the truth because it's just an easier way to operate, but I always try to be kind.
Yeah, I've been in therapy for many years. And in fact, I promised Hazelton when I left, I don't, nobody listened to this if you're alcoholic, but I didn't go to meetings. I had an unpleasant experience. So they said, we understand, but we need you in therapy then.
Yeah.
And I went back to Los Angeles, went into therapy 3-4 hours a week.
It obviously worked.
And I still go to the same therapist. She still speaks to me and she still takes my calls.
Let me tell you, as a therapist, we really are invested in our patients. We really are, and take such pride when that growth happens because we're part of it and we get a front row seat to seeing that growth. And it's part of the beauty of being in the business. All right, just 2 more questions. Any recent shows that you've been binge watching?
Well, what is it? Gene Smart series, Hacks. I love Hacks. I'll tell you what I did binge watch during COVID that I had never seen, because when you do so many series, as I've been fortunate enough to do, West Wing. I had never seen West Wing. It's just a piece of genius. It's a piece of brilliance. Now, I don't remember some of the series now that I watch. I forget them, sadly. But the ones I mentioned are just so stellar.
Those sound great. I'm going to check them out. Can you name 3 things that you feel grateful for?
My health, my career, my family.
Beautiful. And if someone were to narrate your life, because this could be made into a movie, I think.
Wait, one more. And my best friend. I have a best friend.
Who would be the narrator? Who would be I guess you would narrate your own life, because I did it.
Oh yeah, I recorded it myself. That was one of the deals that the president of Simon Schuster said when his secretary laughed at my reading. He said, and we want you to do the audio. Usually they want actors to do their own audios.
As they should.
It was something. I think you'll enjoy it, actually.
I'm going to listen to it because I read and I've been like underlining just passages in here. This is an amazing book. It's out soon. It's not even out now, or is it out now?
Well, it's due to be on the stands December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day. Simon Schuster has a sense of humor. But I heard from someone in Los Angeles yesterday, said, I was just in Barnes & Noble and I bought your book. So it must be out now.
It must be out
somewhere.
And I'm so glad that it is. Any hope for how this will impact your readers?
Well, yes, I hope so. First of all, I hope they're entertained, even though all of it isn't funny. But still, you can be entertained by truth,
Yes.
by a truth teller. And that don't live your parents' dream. Live your own. It's worth it. A lot of people do live their parents' dream.
Great message. Oh my gosh, this has been a joy and a pleasure.
Oh,
and best of luck with your amazing book. And if you're ever in New York City, come visit me. I'll take you out for lunch.
Thank you. I would love that. Don't be surprised. I'm
there.
Okay. I'd love that. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
It's my pleasure. And thank you to our Talking Live audience. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.